So with the upcoming release of Dorman Port, I figured I'd take a look at the north of the map, across the entirety of Teyvat. So first off, starting in Notcry, we can see some islands off to the northwest and west of the area near the boss arena for that Abyss Hound boss thing. And then we can see a little island up to the north of the playable area. And then panning back around, we see where we are, which is that little Abyss boss. Well, it isn't little, but that being said, Hex and Circle teams make short work of that thing. So crossing over to get a bit of a look from the north, and just racing over there with Aoife and Chaska. So racing up to here, and we get a look at the actual north. So we see that same island from before, and then we see the big islands off to the north, which I suspect is Snezhnaya, but without confirmation, there's only so much I can suspect. Now, this is, well, that little island is not placeholder, but that looks like it's probably placeholder textures. But if it isn't, then, well, no, it is. They'll change what the place looks like when they actually release Snezhnaya, if that's Snezhnaya. But they're planning on making this game go for another like 10 years. We might well get all of Teyvat in the game. So yeah, looking at it, we see some of the islands, and the closest bits are in the game files, but all that out there is placeholder. It probably is 3D meshed, but I wouldn't try standing on it if you could get out of bounds, and I discourage that. So jumping over to Fontaine, which is a decent ways away, but gives us a bit of a look. So you see me flying around over here, getting a bit of a look at the north, and catching Hydro crystal flies, because yes. So flying around, you can kind of see some of the texture, but to the north of Fontaine itself, you can see the raised water section that it has that goes to a waterfall. I find that absurd. The older law for Fontaine was that the water drained into Fontaine, which, yeah, that doesn't seem to work. So we see the mountain from before, and we see more of the texture and 3D meshes to the north. And there are plenty of mountains. And as we pan over into the east, we see Mondstadt, particularly the little poking bit of Dvalin's lair. There's not much that you can see beyond that, but it is some wacky textures and shapes. So jumping over to another part of Fontaine and speeding up to the top of the hill. We get a bit of a look at some of the space to the north there, but come close to the Primal Barrier. This hill's a good spot for just observing the world of Teyvat, particularly the north. And Chaska is much better at going uphill with her E-skill than my boy Aoife. So that's where I am on the map, and you see the islands off to the north and northwest. The giant volcano island that could well be a volcano. I do wonder how this will translate into, 7.0 and beyond. It will be interesting to see later in the year. And as we pan over, we start to see Mondstadt in the distance, very far away, but gradually getting closer as this video progresses. Yes, we're heading towards Mondstadt. And yeah, that mountain is oddly tall compared to the rest of the placeholder textures, so I suspect it might be of plot importance later. But also we see the top of Fontaine and the funky shape that it has. It really is a wacky space. It just is wacky.
Let's go.
We fly off, we approach the island barrier, and I change locations. So, just chasing after some boars for a moment, and then continuing on the journey. Yay, balls. Might as well hunt. So switching to Chaska to climb the hill, and we get up to the top and kind of get a bit of a look at some of the north that you see there. That is beyond the map. And going over, we see more of the water beyond the map. There is a lot of water. And I get to a safe spot that I can pull out the camera and zoom in on those mountain ranges. Now I should go for more of the shots of the hill texture, but well. So there isn't terribly much to look at there. You see bits of water and that really tall mountain. And just doing another panoramic sweep over it just to show it. We see a bit of an island on the edge of the border there. I wonder if we'll get a north lift and harbour when we get Shneznaya, because that would be kind of cool. Although they kind of seem to come through from the northwest. So now down to the near Chenyu Vale, we take a look at some of the mountains and some of the north terrain. Some of that is still just barely in bounds, but yeah, you can see the placeholder textures and some waterfalls in a moment, I think. Yep, waterfall. And some of the Chenyu Vale mountains, and plenty of fog. There is fog. Lots of fog. And are you still watching at this point? If so, leave a comment. What are you looking forward to with the new region, or one of the future regions? Or are you watching this in the past and you're surprised at what the game used to look like? Feel free to say in the comments. So just continuing to pan around, and we get a look at some of Chenyu Vale and Dragonspine in the far distance. Now on to Chenyu Vale. So kind of the western side of Chenyu Vale, you've got a look at Fontaine and its water. And then panning across, you get a bit of look of some of the terrain around it, and there is a lot of water and some mountains and a waterfall, and we'll come back to that waterfall in a bit. But you can kind of see more of the texture. There's some of Chenyu Vale, you can see some of Mondstadt, you see the church, and that mountain is, I think, in front of Storm Terrace Lair. So yeah, the church is there, as is Starfell Cliff. Dragonspine. So I'm kind of panning over onto playable areas. Yay! So just zooming out and looking at it all. Now moving to another place in Chenyu Vale, we've got mountains and that same waterfall that I've looked at the other side of. Now you can see some of the text. Now it is a bit late at night in the game, so you can see some of the, you're getting a bit of the night fog, but you see some of the texture from there, and then changing to a spot in Lewa, you get a rather interesting look at the map. Now, I stare on the map for a bit long, it seems. Ah well. Over to Lewa now, or regular Lewa. We're on top of that underground domain that is a big challenge domain. So we can see that waterfall from before, and we knew where we were. You see some of the fun textures, and they put a lot of work into there, putting a lot of trees and even a map and pathway on the ground down there. You can't walk on most of that, but they put it there anyway. Gotta love the weird path placing, and you see some of the map to the kind of northwest of Storm Terror's lair, and yeah, they've got random stone texture there for some reason. And beyond, well, probably just to look cool. But yeah, the rock that kind of tears itself apart, you see Storm Terror's lair, and then you see kind of the maps and kind of the north above the playable area. You can climb a part of that, but most of it's out of bounds. Most of that area down there is too. So, as I said, there's a path here. It's random. Like, there's just this random path that just goes nowhere. The game does nothing with it, and it goes nowhere. Then you look at some of the waterways, and that feeds across to the hydro. Oh, come on, what's it called? Oceanid. That feeds across to the Oceanid's base, but arena. But still, like, it's kind of wild. So we're going to jump across to Storm Terror's lair and the top edge of it. So you see some more of that water and random bits of footpath. I am not quite at the edge, at the barrier, but close. Skirting it, shall we say. And yeah, like, they've put in so much texture around there, and I'm fighting Paimon to let me get up that mountain. She keeps pushing me, but I've deliberately got the map off just so it doesn't clutter the screen. And yeah, like, there's a body of water, you can even get wet. And swim part way out and fly part way out into it, which is wild. There's even plants that you can harvest. It's weird. Like, they've done this. I don't know what they're planning on doing with the area, but like, there's not much you can do. Plus, you know, you see the big waterfalls down back there, and there's even a mineable ore here. Going up the wall to continue going around. Now you see that area of water there, and there's a tree. But yeah, like, there was even texture off to the side. You see part of fontaine off to the edge there, but yeah, like, I'm just speeding around because getting around here takes ages. And I want to keep going around, so we're going up, up, up. I can't remember the rest of the song. So here's that area from the Dane's Leaf Quest bit that Lumine walks on with is carried on with her robot friend, or Ruin Guard. So we see some of the area to the north that we're going to have become part of Dorman Port, just going off where it's located from what we know. And like, yeah, there's a lot. So grabbing the camera out and just zooming out, like, look at it, there's that random ass mountain there. And like, random ass rock formation mountain, you've got some of the hills and rolling green. And just kind of, it's just wacky. Like, if you go too far off to the edge, you'll get pushed back by Paimon, and you can if you're fast, or using a rocket method like Sayu, you can get down there, but I wouldn't advocate for it. Like, you see that just random mountain, it's wild. So we've got some hills and mountains and stuff. We're kind of reaching the end of looking at the north, but like, there's still another few areas that we can look at. And yeah, that mountain. I've left the camera on that mountain for some reason. Zooming out a bit, we can see the other side of the hill near the Animo hypostasis, and we see that random ass round boulder. Now you can't really get close to it up here, because if you try Paimon, we'll push you back. But yeah, like it's random.
Take me up.
It is random.
How about we explore the area ahead of us later?
So yeah, yeah, as you can see, Paimon pushes us back. The video recording jumped a bit there. Paimon pushed me off the cliff to get me back in bounds, and I try and climb back up the hill a bit so that we can get a bit more of a view. We've been here for the some of the domain stuff. Now we can see some of the area there, but I'm just going to try and get back up the top of the mountain because I can.
Bring it.
Just so we can get as high a view as possible. Let's just stand where we can see. So you see those kind of middle islands that are north of the Cathedral of Mondstadt, and you see the hilly parts beyond the playable area. Like, that's all not playable. We can't access that yet. I mean, sure, I guess we'll explore the area ahead of us later, but like, still, there's a lot of texture around there. And yeah, so what are your thoughts on these areas? If you're not watching this after Dorman's dropped, and like that, you can't even get to the full end of that hill. It will push you off the top of that cliff. Speaking of cliffs, let's change locations. So over here at the far east, we can see the area that's going to become Dormanport is something very different. We see that weird set of rocks from the other side, weird set of mountainy rock things from the other side.
Any conflicts around?
See the kind of small placeholder hill without any trees on it. That one has trees, which is wild. It's like it's close enough that they're like, yep, let's put some trees on it. Just some happy little trees. But yeah, there's a whole lot of texture up north of it too. I wonder how much of that's going to stick around in the next patch. It'll be interesting to compare maps between current patch and 5 and 6.5. Be interesting to see what's north of 6.5. So just kind of checking the north of the map and jumping locations a bit. Well, not really jumping locations, flying, knowing me. And I'll just keep zooming in with the camera. Okay. Recording this separately from when I actually, well, before I did the narration. Makes for an interesting time, but that happens. So as I work on this video, I'm also in the process of painting the second of the Tyranid primes, this time the one that's not winged, but rather has clawing arms. And you see the boss domain there and areas that are out to bounds next to it and above it. And we'll be travelling over there in a moment. But yeah, it's wild looking at the north of the map. Like, that looks like it's going to become something big in future. So we're just over the other side of the waterfall from the Animo Cube. The first of the one of the first Rubik's Cubes in the game. But I still find it why you can't stand on top of those square podiums. No matter what angle you approach it, you cannot stand on it. The game will not let you. So we're going up here to finish this on one of the last items that you have to break out of the map to get. The Mint. Wait, I end this on the Boundary Mint. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, please let me know what you're looking forward to with the new patch, or how the new patch, what you think of the new patch if you're watching this after it came out. Or if you're watching this in some distant point in time, like 10.5, please comment what you think of the map now. Anyway, catch you around. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.